Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We start with the latest developments in that deadly terror attack in New Orleans. This morning, Bourbon Street is back open to the public after more than a dozen people were killed by a driver who intentionally plowed into a crowd in the French Quarter just after 3 a.m. on New Year's Day.
The FBI says it found what it describes as the remnants of bomb-making equipment in the attacker's home in Houston. Federal authorities are also saying they believe he acted alone and that they don't believe there are any links between the attack in New Orleans and that explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray has the latest on the investigation and the search for a motive.
Music is the pulse of this city, and in the wake of the attack on Bourbon Street, local performers want the world to know the heart of New Orleans is still beating.
We're doing it to memorialize all those innocent people who lost their lives to this senseless act of terrorism. But more importantly, we want people to know that we're proud to be American. I'm proud to be a Louisianan, and I'm proud to be a New Orleans. And that we open, we're not afraid, we're not going to be scared, and we refuse to be terrorized.
It's why, after a moment of silence, the Superdome crowd cheers as the Sugar Bowl, pushed back a day because of the attack, finally kicks off with a show of force at the stadium and about a mile away as crowds return to the French Quarter.
I figure it's probably the safest place to be right now anywhere around here. Plus, you don't want to let the terrorists win.
But it's loss the family of Tiger Besh and 13 other victims are struggling with right now.
He's been a shining star, a bright boy, a clever boy.
He was my role model, my whole family's role model, our inspiration, and now everything we'll do will be for him and through him.
The memories of those killed and injured driving agents and officers on the ground.
There's an unprecedented amount of law enforcement resources that are being utilized to close out and to hunt down and to finalize this investigation.
An investigation that, like the healing here, is going to take some time.
Our thanks to Jay Gray for that report.
Now for more on the investigation, let's bring in Christopher O'Leary. He is a former FBI Counterterrorism Division senior executive. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. So now that officials do think he acted alone, how does this change the investigation? I mean, where are officials honing their focus?
Well, the focus pivots a little away from trying to find associates on the ground, but it doesn't mean they've completely ruled out any other associates. So they're looking for a source of radicalization now. Was it other individuals that he engaged on online platforms? Was he in certain chat rooms? Did he consume specific content? Did somebody provide him with that content? Did he read, ISIS magazines like Dabiq, which are produced in English amongst other languages? Did he consume the radical preachings of someone like Anwar al-Awlaki? And they'll do this by going through, his online devices and exploiting all of those. They'll also go through anything that they recovered from both his bed down location in New Orleans and his residence back in Texas, any documents, any pamphlets, materials, anything like that, they will pull all that together. They'll also be looking at the devices, the explosive devices, the IEDs, how they were composed. Are they consistent with other devices that were made overseas by ISIS or others? So that would suggest he had some advice and direction.
The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have issued a warning about potential copycats. How much of a concern is that? What is it authorities would be doing, not just in New Orleans, but around the country to try to prevent that?
So unfortunately, a successful attack like this does motivate other people. I mean, if you go back to the history of terrorism in the modern era, it really came about in the mid-1850s when there was an Italian anarchist, Felice Orsini, who tried to assassinate the Napoleon III, the Emperor of France at the time. He used a rudimentary bomb, a hand grenade called the Orsini bomb, and that was copycatted around the world, leading to the assassination of 10 world leaders over subsequent decades. It really spread, terrorism spread as a tactic after that. So now you fast forward to the modern era and you look at what has happened with these homegrown, self-radicalized individuals. They look at successful attacks and they say, well, this is possible, and I can mobilize towards violence too. So it's a real concern, both on the international terrorism stage, but also on the domestic terrorism stage.
All right, Christopher O'Leary, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Well, this morning we are learning new details surrounding that Cybertruck explosion in front of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. Officials say the man responsible for that explosion was a highly decorated soldier. They are now calling the incident a suicide. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has more on his military background and a look at some serious unanswered questions.
Authorities identifying the suspected driver of the bomb-laden Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside the Trump International Hotel, saying evidence points to Master Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger, who was behind the wheel. Now investigators piecing together the 37-year-old's ID and final few days.
First and foremost is a military identification. We also found a passport.
Authorities say the body was burned beyond recognition, but the coroner found a gunshot wound to the head prior to the explosion.
There are 2 tattoos that has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person.
Inside the truck, investigators found fuel canisters and firework mortars, plus 2 semi-automatic handguns they say Livelsberger bought legally on Monday. Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger was on active duty, served as a Green Beret assigned to Army Special Operations Command. He was based in Germany but on approved leave, according to Army officials. He was deployed multiple times and was a recipient of the Bronze Star with Valor. His motive still unknown.
I'm comfortable calling it a suicide with the bombing that occurred immediately thereafter. I'm not giving it any other labels.
Livelsberger rented the Cybertruck in Denver on December 28th. Using data from Tesla charging stations, officials tracked his route through Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. On New Year's Day, he was first spotted in Las Vegas at 7:29. 5 minutes later, he's seen driving through the valet area at the Trump Hotel. He drives around for a while, and then at 8:40, he's back at the Trump valet. 17 seconds later, the Cybertruck explodes.
It's pretty scary.
In Colorado, stunned neighbors reporting seeing the active duty soldier with a partner and young child.
They just had a baby, and we'd say hi to each other, and she was a really friendly person.
The FBI spending the last 24 hours searching at least one home in Colorado Springs. What are they keying in on?
So they'll look for clues for his motivation and his ideology. Are there pamphlets? And then additionally, is there any kind of manifesto that explains why he got to this point?
Our thanks to Morgan Chesky for that report. The FBI tells NBC News this kind of unsophisticated bomb is not what investigators expect from someone with Livelsberger's level of military experience. It's a fact that's raising more questions about his motive.
Now, in the wake of these 2 deadly incidents, questions are mounting around the car-sharing app Turo. Officials confirm both suspects rented trucks from the app in the days before the attack in New Orleans and the explosion in Las Vegas. NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton gives us a closer look at how Turo works and how the app is partnering with law enforcement for both investigations.
Car rental app Turo under new scrutiny.
Oh my God.
After authorities say it was used in connection with the deadly terror attack in New Orleans and the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. The peer-to-peer rental app is similar to Airbnb, allowing users to rent a vehicle directly from an owner rather than a car rental company.
You could get the keys to vacation success.
Users can meet car owners in person to pick up the ride or organize a remote handoff in which renters unlock the car using a lockbox code or the app.
Why do you think someone would seek out an app like Turo over more traditional companies like, say, a Hertz?
I think it makes it a little bit more anonymous. So when you go to a place like Hertz or Avis or Budget, one, you're probably in an airport. There are going to be a ton of cameras around. Everybody is going to see you. They have access to data streams that maybe an app like Turo does not.
Turo confirming its platform was used to rent the Ford pickup truck that plowed through New Orleans' Bourbon Street early Wednesday morning, and the Tesla Cybertruck that was filled with explosives outside Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. Authorities say right now there is no definitive link between the two incidents.
There is going to be a lot of scrutiny on whether or not they are doing best practices relative to their industry peers. Are they doing enough background checks? Are they providing enough safeguards? Because a question will be, what is their responsibility and how far did they deviate from that?
In a statement, a Turo spokesperson saying in part, "We do not believe that either renter involved in the Las Vegas and New Orleans attacks had a criminal background that would have identified them as a security threat. We remain committed to maintaining the highest standards in risk management." Turo has approximately 150,000 active hosts worldwide, with 350,000 active vehicle listings and 3.5 million active guests. Turo's website says Turo screens users when they create an account and again when they book a car. After that, screenings can be triggered for several reasons and may prompt Turo to deny users access to a car or app. However, Turo says it cannot reveal information about its screening process, other than that it involves a renter uploading their driver's license.
Certainly, you can trace these things down. But again, with the adapting technology, we're foolish to think that the criminals and terrorists are not going to adapt. In fact, they may actually out-innovate law enforcement, which is what really makes it difficult.
And our thanks to Antonia Hilton for that report.
Well, today marks the start of a brand new session of Congress. The newly elected 119th Congress will be sworn in today, with Republicans taking full control of both the House and the Senate for the first time since 2019. But before they can get to work on their priorities, the House has to elect a new leader, and that might not be so easy or fast.
All week, current Speaker Mike Johnson has been scrambling to lock down support from some hardline conservatives who still have not committed to voting for him, even after a full-throated endorsement from President-elect Donald Trump. With a razor-thin majority, Johnson can only afford to lose one vote. He told Fox News yesterday he's confident he'll be reelected in the first round of voting. He also said failing to choose a speaker before Mr. Trump's election victory is certified would be chaos for Washington.
Yeah, we would have ourselves a constitutional crisis, I would argue. You have to have a speaker to begin and commence the Congress itself. And this happens every 2 years. We've been doing this for hundreds of years now. I think we'll do it again tomorrow. We'll get the 119th Congress going, historic as it will be.
For more on how all of this could play out, let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale. Ali, good morning. So let's start out by talking about Speaker Johnson's comments that we just heard there. Yeah. When he talks about a constitutional crisis, what exactly does he mean, and what impact could any potential delay have?
It's a really good question, because typically you think, okay, you don't elect a speaker, no big deal. Huge deal, not just for those of us who are Congress nerds, but for anyone who actually wants to see Congress certify the election results on January 6th and then see those results certified and then, of course, the president himself inaugurated. You can't do that if you haven't officially started the 119th Congress, and you can't officially start the 119th Congress unless you elect a speaker. Once you elect a speaker, then the House moves on to adjudicating the rules package, which is basically, okay, by what rules are we going to function as a body for the next 2 years? You have to do all of this procedural stuff that seems quite small in order to actually put the House into an official state of doing business. And you definitely need them to be doing business because they need to certify the election results. That's the way that you end up getting, just a few short weeks from now, to the next president of the United States. In this case, President-elect Donald Trump. Republicans certainly want to get to that point, but they seem keen to shoot themselves in the foot by delaying this process, though we'll see how it ultimately shakes out.
I mean, Ali, we mentioned President-elect Trump's endorsement. It hasn't managed to sway everyone in the Republican Party to rally behind Speaker Johnson. Who are the holdouts? What do they want?
There are people who are impervious to the Trump pull, although the president-elect doesn't like to hear that. And in the House right now, because the margins are so thin, and certainly it was the story of the last 2 years, but it's definitely going to be the story of these 2 years, singular members in the House sort of have a permission structure and even a reason to be people who will speak out or try to bargain for themselves. And they are not necessarily the people who a phone call from the president-elect or eventually the president can make them shift their position. People like Chip Roy are people that we're looking at quite closely in this process because for him, the longtime congressman from Texas, there are procedural things that he would like to see and get from the speaker in order to keep Johnson in this position of power. For other people like Thomas Massie, a conservative from Kentucky, he has said he is a hard no vote. This has actually been true for months, but of course is getting much more spotlight now because Massie is one powerful no and the only no that Johnson can afford to have if he wants to be able to keep this position. There are, of course, a handful of others who are bargaining for various things. Whether or not they get them will remain to be seen. But the alphabet is going to tell us a lot here. They vote in alphabetical order. And some of the first names are Biggs, Burchett, Crane. These are members who you might not care about, but they will be important when we see if they vote no. Because if they vote no, then the first balloting round is already done and over for Johnson.
And Allie, quickly here, tell us what are some of the big priorities on the agenda for this new Congress once they actually start legislating?
Yeah, they actually have a lot to do, and so it behooves them to get this process of picking a speaker done quickly, especially because they immediately want to move on a tax package that is a continuation of one of President-elect Trump's key tax and legislative priorities from his first term. It's taxes. It's not just that. It's also border security. That is a key feature that they are looking to move on immediately. This is a laundry list of things that are going to take a lot of legislative willpower, and you got to start the process before you can actually get to the legislating.
Absolutely. Allie Vitale speaking to us for the last time as a correspondent. Next week she becomes an anchor. Programming note.
I've got my coffee.
Starts on Monday. Congrats, Allie. Thank you so much.
Thanks, my friends.
Let's get a look at the weekend forecast with your Morning News Now weather.
Angie Lastman's in studio with us. Angie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. We've got a couple of things that might make your travel this weekend or any outdoor plans a little difficult. So let's start with what we're dealing with right now. We've, of course, got the lake effect snow happening, but notice this little batch of some snow working across the Appalachians. That's just a quick moving storm system that we're going to be watching here over basically through the day today and into the afternoon hours. And then it'll be out of here by the time we get into tomorrow. Still, there are some winter alerts from that, but notice 45 million people really stretching from the East Coast all the way back to the Rockies are currently under some sort of winter alerts, including Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis, parts of Michigan as well. There's the quick moving storm system. Like I said, by the later parts of today, that'll track across this region and be out of here. Now, as we get into the weekend, we start to see this next system emerge. And this is going to be a doozy for a couple of days and for a lot of folks. We've got it kind of getting its act together, spreading some of that heaviest of the snow across parts of the Rockies. But notice the ice and a little bit of rain that we'll have to deal with here as we get into the later parts of your Saturday. By Sunday, it tracks into the Midwest. The snow and the slow travel will be something you'll deal with basically from Omaha to Cincinnati. And then here it comes for the East Coast. This is going to leave us with difficult travel for the mid-Atlantic, icy conditions, potentially leading to power outages across Virginia. Highest snowfall amounts, they're going to be near I-70. You can see just north of St. Louis, up to a foot of snow. We'll see places like Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, all pick up on some significant snow across that region. And the ice, that's going to be a real troublemaker when it comes to travel, guys. This goes into Monday. You can see up to 1/4 of an inch of accumulation for folks centered across portions of Missouri and Illinois. Again, difficult for our friends across that region. 7 million people, too, are going to see a severe threat on Sunday. This is focused across the south. This is all part of that same storm system. Wind gusts look to be the main threat, but we could also see a couple of tornadoes. We've also got a minor hail threat, but something to note also, we've got really chilly temperatures spilling in. It feels like winter across parts of the northern plains. That's going to stretch into parts of the East Coast by the time we get into tomorrow. Notice that high in New York City, 34 degrees, just 5 in Bismarck. And then by the weekend, it really settles in. The chill sticks around. Teens for Minneapolis, 20s for Detroit. Richmond tops out at just 36 degrees by Monday.
Indoor weekend.
An indoor weekend.
Hey, but I'm
staying off the road.
Snow in New York, maybe.
Yeah, maybe an inch or so. But I mean, the worst of it is going to be to the south and really bad travel, honestly. Yeah. The roads are going to be really tough.
Stay safe. Stay indoors. Angie, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.